This lesson will go over the difference between clauses and phrases. So we'll give you a definition for a clause, a definition of a phrase, and we'll cover some different types of clauses like independent and dependent. Clauses are large grammatical units composed of many parts of speech. They always contain a subject and a verb, as well as any number of modifiers. For example, when the weather improves, there's our subject, there's our verb. I love pogo sticks. Have you met my friend James? Although in principle, I like the color mauve. What you might notice is that while all of these are clauses, only a couple of them could actually form a sentence. If you tried to say, when the weather improves a bit, something's missing. If you try to say, although in principle I like the color mauve, something's missing, but it's still a clause. The only thing that matters is, does it have a subject and a verb? A phrase, on the other hand, does not contain a subject and a verb. So, for example, John yawns in the morning. That's just a phrase. Compared to, he gets tired. That's a clause. When a clause can stand by itself and make complete sense as a sentence, it's called an independent clause. I love online learning. Tears trickled down his cheeks. The cat ate the goldfish. All of these are independent clauses, standalone sentences. For compound sentences, when you're putting more than one independent clause together, it's important to remember that the conjunction is not actually part of either independent clause. So we have stalagmites grow up, stalactites hang down, joined together by this conjunction. I couldn't decide, I bought them both, joined together by this conjunction. The underlined parts are the independent clauses, and later we'll cover rules on when you will need commas there and not. Usually you do. Dependent clauses always have both a subject and a verb, but they cannot be a complete sentence by themselves. Sometimes they begin with subordinating conjunctions, like the word while, or the word as, and while I brushed my teeth, or as my father used to say. And if you try to say that out loud, something is missing. Another type of dependent clause, those that begin with relative pronouns, like which or who. In this case, sometimes they will be the subject and sometimes not. We still have a subject and a verb, but it doesn't make sense all by itself. Dependent clauses can function in different ways. In this first example, we have the relative pronoun who, and that whole clause is describing the noun in front of it. It's giving you information about that friend. In the third example here, we have a subordinating conjunction, when, and this whole clause is modifying the verb, put. There are also times when an entire clause can function as a noun. What happened last night? Now, if you ask that as a question, it might seem like it's an independent clause. But if you made it as a statement, what happened last night, it's missing something. It's just a noun here. It can function in the object position like this, or it could function in the subject position, anywhere you can put a noun. So let's go through a few examples. During the day. That's just a phrase. We have a preposition and an object. So we do have a noun there, but there's no subject or verb. Vlad slept in a coffin. That's an independent clause. We have a subject and a verb. When the moon shone. That's a dependent clause. We have moon and shone. And our subordinating conjunction is this word, when. He lurked in the shadows. We have a subject and a verb, and it stands alone. Independent clause. Guzzling caffeine by the liter. We have a verb here, but we don't have a subject. So this is still just a phrase. I remained awake. We have a subject and a verb. That's an independent clause.